Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? My name is Christopher Colbert. I'm the chair of CME for ACOEP, here with our keynote address and one of the other moderators, Dr. Andy Little.
Chris, thanks for having me. We're excited to announce ACOEP Spring Seminar, which is coming up in the next week. And we have one of our keynote speakers, a good friend, a better mentor, and an awesome EM physician, George Willis. George, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you both for having me. It's a wonderful to be here. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
So what do our conference attendees have to look forward to during your keynote address?
So to be honest with you, it's going to seem a little bit of a downer when it first starts off. I'm actually going to talk about failure, which not a lot of people want to talk about, but it's a very pertinent topic, especially in the dealing with what's going on with this pandemic and how to overcome not just that failure, but how to bounce back from that failure to actually become a better physician. A lot of times we pursue perfection, and we're going to talk about what happens when you get smacked in the face with the fact that we are not perfect. And as a result of that, how do we move on from that? Do we break down and just become, a shell of our former self, or do we actually become better physicians as a result of the failure that we've experienced? So hope it's going to be a great talk. I've given it before. It's been a very powerful talk, one of my favorites to give, and I'm really looking forward to giving it for ACOEP.
Yeah, that's a killer subject to bring up, not only for its timeliness, but also the appropriate, as you mentioned, is that I feel like too many times as physicians, we forget that we are not perfect and we are still people. So as excited as we are about that, I know Chris has got a couple questions he wants to ask you, get some of the juicy details about Dr. Willis behind the scenes. So Chris, what do you got for us?
So speaking of juicy details and that we are all not perfect, let's combine those two. Some really great food that you ordered very often in the last year. Secondary to the pandemic, who was your Uber Eats two favorite places to eat?
Wow. Okay. This is going to sound horrible because I've actually been on a little bit of a healthcare kick. I've been doing a lot more exercising and things like that, but my guilty pleasure has actually been the Cheesecake Factory. To make myself feel better, what I'll do is I'll get a salad from the Cheesecake Factory and then get a very, either a Cinnabon cheesecake is one of my favorites, and then the red velvet cake is my all-time favorite. So that's my guilty pleasure, and what me and, I also make an excuse by saying, my wife says, wait a minute, you've been on this healthcare kick, so you've been trying to get healthier. And I'm like, I got you a piece of cheesecake too.
Kind of guilt her into leaving you alone. Yeah. Hey, leave that first part out. Here's some cheesecake.
Right.
And at the same time, showing a little bit of love. So it all wraps up pretty well together. I like that.
Yeah. My second one is actually a place that's it's local to here called the Frisco Tap House. They make a couple of things that I really enjoy. Their Cobb salad is amazing. But the thing that I actually get from them, they make a chorizo sausage queso that comes with chips. It's absolutely incredible. They use a white cheddar and some jalapenos and some peppers, and then the chorizo sausage, and it's amazing. And that's another guilty pleasure that I'll have. I'll try to offset it with some veggie chips as opposed to regular tortilla chips.
Make it a little more healthy. Yeah, a little more healthy. Yeah.
Well played. Well played.
So, George, I think everybody is ready for this to be over. I think as physicians, we're vaccinated now. The public's starting to buy into being vaccinated. Everybody's been putting off that trip. So if you could go one place with the fam or just your wife, where are you going and who are you taking?
Okay. So this is actually something that me and my wife have been talking about for a while. I haven't seen my parents in almost 2 years as a result of this pandemic. Both of my parents are over 80, and we've been very nervous about going to see them in this pandemic. So one of the first places that I would definitely go is to see my mom and dad. It's just been too long. The grandkids are dying to see them. But the place that I would probably take my family for the most fun is to the beach. We haven't been to the beach since my oldest daughter, who's now 8. We haven't been since she was 6 months old. So my youngest daughter has actually never been to the beach before. So we have actually already planned a trip to the Eastern Shore Beach for sometime in May or June that we hope to go on, obviously pandemic pending and my travel restrictions for work relieved. That's going to be the first place we go. We're going to go to the beach and have probably a family week. We're going to get a little Airbnb beach house and just go spend the time on the beach and veg out. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can just imagine you driving home to West Virginia and listening to John Denver turned up to 20.
Yeah.
And then as you're going to the beach, you got Zach Brownbound toes in the sand up to 20. So I'm excited. Both those trips sound awesome and well worth all the sacrifices we've made for the last year.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of our keynote address, coupled with really great insight on medicine, great insight on Cheesecake Factory as well. Headed out to the beach, one of the specific lecturers that you don't want to miss at ACOEP in the spring. We're looking forward to it. And George, it's great to see you. And it'll be amazing for your presentation as our keynote.